Thank you. Hate to interrupt the conversation, but we just wanted to get started with everything. First of all, I wanted to say welcome. There's a beautiful park here, I have to say that. You know, it's definitely a beautiful place. But most of all, we appreciate you coming out for our Michigan 10th Democratic Congressional District picnic. So I've gotten lots of thumbs up on the pizza. Hopefully that's continuing. So help yourself. We want to make sure everybody's fed and full because there's going to be some work to do at 3 o'clock with the canvassing. You know, you got to pay for it one way or another, right? What we'll do is we'll get started basically with this shortly. I'm waiting at probably around 1 o'clock, I think Secretary Benson will be here, but I'll see who else wants to speak beforehand, so that way we won't just have continuous speeches. I want to make sure you have time to eat, time to talk, and time to mingle. So the good thing about this is we want to do it in Rochester because Rochester Hills is part of the 10th, so we wanted to make sure we show this area some love. So, and also it's good, you know, different folks and get to meet different people, that's always a good thing. For me, I'm Joel Rutherford, the chair of the Michigan 10th. Where did my... Thank you. Dr. Melanie Hartman, she's our vice chair.
Thanks everybody for coming out today. We're really looking forward to getting out the vote coming up and getting people excited. Thanks.
I don't want to miss anybody here. Yeah. I know George is our corresponding secretary. Say hello, George. Carol, she is our treasurer. I don't want to interrupt the food here. That's not a good thing. And Pat Bellinger is our recording secretary. Thank you so much. So go ahead and eat for a little bit, and we'll start to get this going. I just have to get the times right here. Thank you. Sure. We got video of you also. So I can take photos of this.
Hello everyone.
Hello everybody. Wait, listen up.
So I'm a
Julie,
teacher.
step up to the mic.
I'm a teacher, so if you can hear my voice, clap twice. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming out tonight. This afternoon, I really want to just take a moment of your time. The most important thing we can do is get out there and knock those doors, and in a few minutes I'm going to go off and do that myself. I am Julie Alspa, and I am running for the Rochester School Board. And I was talking to some of our friends over here, and the school board is the front line. We have 5 out of 7 seats in Rochester that are up right now. And we have a full slate of Mom for Liberty endorsed people coming after us. So we really appreciate it. We have our literature out on the table, and it's got my information on one side and the rest of us on the other side. And thank you so much for being here and going out and knocking doors. And remember, 5 for all for the Rochester School Board. Thank you.
Can I get your attention, everybody? Please. Can I get your attention? Hey, everybody, listen up for a second. Thank you. Hey, at this time, you know, I was just telling how beautiful this park is. And, you know, it's one thing for sure. I'll say this. I'm envious of the folks in Oakland County because of the county executive that you have. That's somebody that really gets stuff done. Here's Oakland County's executive, Mr. Dave Paul.
Oh my God, Dem, thank you. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon. Are we fired up? What do we got? 50, how many days left?
51 or 52.
51 or 2, says Bruce. He would know, that's close enough. So we're in the finish line, folks. I know we're getting tired, I know we're getting anxious, but we got work to do, so it's pedal to the metal, you know that.
Yes.
But yeah, we're rocking it in Oakland County. We need to rock it in Macomb County. We got a lot of work to do to bring our ticket over the top. One of the things I wanted to talk to you today that's been on my mind for the last couple of days is this. You know, this is Welcome Week across the country. This is Welcome Week. When I became county executive, we officially became a welcoming county in Oakland County. That simply means we welcome everybody, no matter where you were born, right? And in Oakland County, and I think in Macomb County, our foreign-born residents have been a huge part of our success and the quality of our lives. We are a party, and we are a county that welcomes everyone. And I say this because we know that our opponents, the more they get behind and the more desperate they get, and the more their platform doesn't resonate with people, they go to their old playbook, which is to demonize people. They've done it to Arabs. They've done it to Mexicans. Right now, they're doing it to Haitians in Ohio. It's disgusting. It's an old playbook that we've seen way too many times. But we know, especially being here in Rochester and Rochester Hills, how much our foreign-born neighbors have contributed to our communities, the businesses that they've grown, the students that they send to our schools, the way they have been part of our community. And so, if you need another reason to make sure that we vote blue up and down the ticket, it's to make sure that every one of our residents is safe and secure and feels welcome in their communities. I can't stress that enough, because we're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're done. We're done with the racism and the sexism and the xenophobia in this country and in our county and in the 10th district, right? Right? So we're not going back. So we can't, this is a team effort. Here's the team. You're the team, right? Team spirit today. We're going to do this. We're going to elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. We're going to elect, Dave Coulter as the county executive in Oakland County. We're going to elect Carl Marlinga to get rid of John James in the 10th district. And we're going to elect my friend Travis Harold as the next state representative from this district. We need Travis and Lansing. You know, the Republicans are laser focused on taking back the House. Rick Snyder is the key architect, him and the DeVosses, to raise the money they need to try to take back the state House. We have made the progress we've made in Michigan because of the House and the Senate, and of course the great governor and the ladies that we have right in our state. We have to keep them. So it's my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you someone who really needs our help in these next 51 or 52 days. That's my friend and our next state representative, Travis Harold. How about that?
Yeah. Woo. That was impressive, Dave. Thank you very much. Well, look, everyone. So my name's Travis Harold. I'm running for state representative here in Rochester, Rochester Hills, and Oakland Township. First off, let's give a round of applause for Congressional District 10. Woo! And let's give a round of applause for Congressional District 10 being in Rochester. Yes, because that matters. And so look, let me talk a little bit about the stakes, because the stakes are high. So we know in 2022, John James won by 1,600 votes. Look, let me tell you something else. There was 1,000 votes, right, net, that went to John James here in this district, here in Rochester, Rochester Hills. So we need Macomb, we need you to come here. We need you to knock doors here, right? John James doesn't even live here, right? That is a big problem. And not only that, when we ask for help, when we need constituent services, he's shown that he's not there. And look, I'll tell you this, I'm an Army veteran, right? Just like John James. And we know, right, the biggest first step in the military is showing up. We show up no matter what. And so we need to hold him accountable. Now look, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Raised in a household of a single mother who worked at local public schools. You know, taught me that public education could be my vehicle for success. She would say, hey Travis, go get your education. Go get your education. Yep, absolutely. And so we have to protect that public education, right? And I think, as Dave mentioned, right, my opponent who I'm running against, he's funded by the DeVosses. And we know that the bosses, they want to pull away money from our public schools. Now look, my Rochester folks, we know that RCS is a pillar in our community. It's what makes us who we are. And there's no way in hell we're going to allow people to pull money from our public schools and make sure that we still continue to give kids a fair shake. That's what we're going to do. And so look, I'm going to wrap up. We need your help. Macomb County, we're going to need you here in Rochester, Rochester Hills more than ever. We're going to need you to take that drive. Come knock doors. Come do the calls here in Rochester, Rochester Hills. This is where Carl will win or lose the election. We already saw. I'm not telling you anything that you haven't seen before. We've seen it in 2022. So we need you here. And my Rochester folks, we know the stakes are high. We know. And so, lastly, I'll say this, because it matters. In 2016, we had a very divisive primary, right? Neither of those candidates won. And instead, an orange man was elected, and our country hasn't been the same since. And so look, when people say we need Michigan, they're talking about you. You. Hey, we need to win Michigan. You should say, oh, they're talking about me. So you got to call your friends. You got to call your family. You got to knock those doors. Our country hasn't been the same since in 2016 because we lost our eyes on the prize. And so now we have to save our democracy. The stakes are high, Michigan. The stakes are high, Congressional District 10. So I look forward to being on the battlefield with you. And with that, I'm going to bring up Joel, and I'm sure he's going to bring up Carl. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Travis. Yeah, you're right. We're definitely got to hold on, keep hold of the state house, state senate, because we've got things to do. What does the Governor Whitmer says? You got to get stuff done, or something along those lines. I keep it nice. But right now, one of the things that happens so often in elections is, we get worried about, the Democratic side of things, but we don't look at the judges enough. And that's something that when you're out canvassing, make sure that you talk about. Because judges affect us on a day-to-day basis. And right now I have the pleasure of introducing a wonderful judge and someone who definitely is running, and she's going to get reelected, Judge Laura Polisi.
Thank you for being here. I'm Judge Laura Polisi of the 52-3 District Court. So 52-3 District Court serves the following communities: Rochester, Rochester Hills, Auburn Hills, Lake Orion, Oxford, Orion Township, Leonard, Addison, Oakland Township. So if you live in one of those communities, raise your hand. All right, I need you guys to help me. I need lawn signs in the ground. You've probably seen my face everywhere, but it's not enough. So judicial races are about awareness. A lot of people go to their ballot and they ignore the judicial races. They're so impactful to our communities. In the 52-3 District Court, we have the same 3 judges for 24 years with no change. That is how impactful these judicial races can be. They can last for decades. So I need your help. I was appointed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer in May. Give it up for Gretchen Whitmer. And since I took the bench, I've started changing things in that court. A lot more restorative justice. I started a veterans treatment court. Do we have any veterans here? So my brother was an Iraq war veteran. My brother came home from Iraq, and unfortunately he had injuries from the war. He was in active combat, and he required the use of opiates, which led to an addiction, which led to him getting in trouble in district court, and I represented him as an attorney in those cases. And I can't tell you how many resources we tried to get him and how many resources we couldn't get him. So what I did in our district court is I started a veterans court. It's the first one we've ever had. And sadly, my brother passed away 8 years ago, but now I became a judge, and in his honor, I've established that program. So I look forward to establishing more programs to help people, because if you put somebody with an addiction problem in jail for 30 days, they get out and they still have an addiction problem. We need to address those problems, and it's very impactful to our community. Far too many people do not think about those issues until it's their child that's in trouble, or their cousin, or a family member. And everybody who's in my court, I treat with dignity and respect. I treat them as if they would be maybe my brother standing in front of me, because I was in that situation and had a family member in that situation. So please spread the word. Again, so impactful to our community, who we have on the bench. And I look forward to continuing to serve the community. Thank you.
Okay, right now we'll take a little break in the action so you can go back, have some more pizza, get something to eat. We're just waiting for Secretary Benson right now. As soon as she's here, then we'll continue, okay? So enjoy, talk, get to know each other. All right, if I can get your attention, please. Our special guests are certainly here. You know, there's one thing for sure. Women Running Michigan show just what a great job women can do. And the one thing I'm glad about is, you know, they talk about the trifecta that they have because of, you know, the governor of the State House and State Senate. But I like the trifecta that we have as far as the governor, the attorney general, and to me, the best Secretary of State in the United States. I'd like to present Secretary Benson.
Thanks, guys. Hi, Nicole. Good to see you. Our next congressman from this district right here.
Thank you all. It's a beautiful day to celebrate democracy, a beautiful day to think about all that's ahead of us, and also a really critical day because here we are just a few weeks before people start voting in the state of Michigan for the November election. How are you guys feeling? Are you ready? I can tell you're excited. Well, here's the reality. The path to the presidency runs right through our state. And so we are going to see an unending influx of misinformation and lies over the next several weeks and months, all designed to make you doubt and others doubt the power of our voices and the power of our ability as citizens in this state to ensure our government listens to us and reflects our values. So I'm here today to say no one is going to allow us in the weeks ahead to confuse us about our power, right? No one is going to be able to lie to us or challenge us or confuse us or create fear in our communities around our democracy, because we won't allow that to happen, right? We've got to knock doors. We've got to make those phone calls. You guys know the drill because you do it every time and you win every time, because when we fight, we win! That's right. So here's the other thing I want to tell you though. We've got 3 ways to vote in Michigan, right? You can vote from home, you can vote early, just as you would on election day, and you can vote on election day itself. So one of the things we really need your help with in these coming weeks is not just talking about these great candidates and everything that's at stake for the future of our country in this election, and it will define our future, and Michigan voters will define our future, and will ensure that we define our future in a way that protects every voice and every vote. But we have to do that and recognize that there's a lot of people who are going to try to drown out that noise. And instead, we have on our side options to vote that will ensure for everyone that you can have your voice heard. What we need your help with is making sure people know about those options. Right now, you can go to michigan.gov/vote and actually request your ballot to be mailed to you. Did you know that? You go today. And as you go around the doors, as you make those phone calls, don't just tell people how to vote or where to vote or to vote. Make sure they know that they can go to michigan.gov/vote and simply fill out a form and have their ballot emailed or mailed straight to them, U.S. mail. And then they can return it at through the U.S. mail without having to pay for postage or at a local drop box. And new this year, thanks to a lot of work many of you did in 22, are 9 days of early voting here in Oakland County and all around. So what that means is 2 things. 1, you don't have to wait till election day if you want to vote in person. You can vote on a Saturday or Sunday or a whole week before election day. It means after you go to church or synagogue, you can go vote. After you go to work or before work, on any day that week, you can go vote. And then you can spend election day either working the polls or making phone calls to get other people out to vote.
We want everyone to know about their option to vote early, also not just because of its convenience, but secondly also because if people are going to try to disrupt our elections, and you know what, we will be there, Attorney General Nessel and I will be there to ensure that they do not succeed if they try it. But at the same time, we know the more people who vote before 7 a.m. on election day even begins, the more opportunity we have to ensure every voice and every vote is protected and to minimize the potential for disruption, because voting is spread out over such a long period. So my ask for you is that you can help us make sure everyone knows about Oakland County and our state's option for voting early. And let's face it, you've got an amazing clerk here, an amazing number of local clerks as well, and a county clerk in Lisa Brown, and an elections director in Joe Roselle, who are going to make sure the process for early voting goes smoothly. We need your help in making sure people know about it, know where to go to vote early if they choose to do so, because it will only make our elections go smoother across the board and encourage more people to participate when we do. So are you ready to get that trusted information out to citizens? Are you ready to be ambassadors to democracy? Ambassadors for democracy in this cycle. And are you ready to fight to ensure that when the eyes of the nation, really the world, are on our state, that we rise to meet the moment and show everyone who we are as Michiganders? We are people who believe in books over bans. We are people who believe in community over chaos, of strength over division, of truth over lies. And we are people that believe that someone like Carl Marlinga would be an incredible representative of this community and all communities throughout the 10th Congressional District in Congress. Am I right? Yeah. I'm going to bring up my friend Carl Marlinga so he can tell you more about this fight. Let's win.
Just on a personal note, several years ago now, Jocelyn Benson and I were both at a state convention. It was down at Cobo in Detroit, and I just remember stopping her and saying, this was just at the start of her career, and I said, I don't know if you know the impression that you make and the hopes that you give to people who are looking for somebody exactly like you, somebody who is young, energetic, intellectual, but still has that ability to connect on a human level. I said, you are the future of our party, and I want you to know that there are a lot of us who are waiting for whatever move you make, we are there to support you. And I want to repeat that again. Whatever move you make, we're there to support you. I'm not going to make this my traditional 4.5-hour speech, okay? You will be able to do other things today. And so I will cut down on some issues, but then take questions. But one of the things that keeps on coming up, and because you are here on a Saturday afternoon, because you are activists, because you make a difference in election, you deserve to be treated like the insiders that you are in terms of the election. One of the questions that arises from time to time is, where are you on TV? Is this going to be funded? And it's a legitimate question because 2 years ago, John James, the Republican Congressional Caucus, the Republican Party, altogether put in close to $9 million in this race against me. I was able to raise $1.1 million, but without the help of the National Democratic Party, because they had listed this as a lean Republican seat. And when Andy Levin, God bless him, said that he couldn't win it, that a Democrat couldn't win it, they basically believed him. And it wasn't until Election Day, when the results came in 48.8 to 48.3, that they said, oh my God, I think we made a mistake. Earlier this year, Don Beyer, the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee recruitment team, gave me a call and actually was kind enough to apologize for what happened in 2022. I said, look, all is forgiven as long as you're in here this time. And the point is, they will be in here this time. Now, understandably, we had a primary, which delayed things because, look, it was a healthy primary. I still think it was healthy for this district. We had great candidates out there running, working. There's a team that's left over, and the good thing is there's a residual of goodwill. Emily Bush has endorsed me, Tiffany Tilley has endorsed me, Anil Kumar has endorsed me, and I wanted to call out especially because she's here, one of the hardest working candidates in the history of the United States of America, a great Democrat, a great American, Diane Young, a round of applause. And a couple of days ago, as part of the show of sincerity by the Democratic Party, Catherine Clark, the Democratic whip, came in. We had a breakfast. It was a small breakfast, about 10 people in downtown Detroit. Diane was kind enough to accept my invitation. Catherine afterwards was just so impressed with the fact that after this primary that Diane was willing to come out, be there for me at that breakfast, and be there for me working on, and the other candidates are there as well. And so I want you to know we have a unified party. I think we have gained as the result of having a spirited primary because everybody's out there working, and when people are out there working, it shows up then in the general. You can have a safe, easy, nothing happening primary, but it doesn't translate into excitement and votes in the general. So I'm grateful for what happened, and I'm grateful that we are all together. And now let me just go over a little bit of the nuts and bolts of the money. Again, House spent 9-1 the last time. This time, John James has $2.9 million reserved. Right now, the House Majority PAC has reserved $5.86 million for my campaign. They are spending the first 1.7 starting next Tuesday. Some people have said, well, when are you going to be on TV? The answer is next Tuesday, okay? And that will start at the $1.7 million for a 2-week run, and then the balance of the 5.86 after that, but with the promise from the DCCC that if more money is needed, they will be there to back us up. In addition to that, we're raising about $140,000 a week. We're going to be able to put about 1.5 to 2 million of our own TV commercials on. And so that together with the national party is going to, well, you're already up in the $70 million range. In other words, we are at the same level that John James was at 2 years ago. He's going to have to work to catch up to us, all right? Now, having said that, let's talk about why we are here. We're here for 2 reasons. First of all, you are the difference makers. The doors that you knock, the signs that you put up are ultimately going to make the difference. When you're talking about 1,600 votes, about 4 votes per precinct, any time that you go out and knock a door to say, well, I was tired, I didn't get much done, I only hit 17 houses. No, you hit 17 houses, all right? If you put up 3 lawn signs, there's probably about 300-400 people who are influenced. Not that people are going to change their vote because they see a lawn sign, but there's always the 3 or 4% uncommitted who, when they're trying to figure out which way to go, when they realize that my neighbor down the street, who I kind of like, has a Marlinga sign up, maybe I should go there too. And so there are myriad of ways to make up the 1,600 votes by which we lost. But it all starts with the door knocking, and it starts with lawn signs. And so we have a display of lawn signs. Remember, as you're going home, take some for yourself, take some from your neighbor. Yes, signs do not vote, but they are a constant, everyday endorsement by you or your neighbors to somebody else. And in a close election, that can really swing the vote. And now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the reason that we're out here. We could stay home, we could do other things, but we choose to get involved in political life because we know it makes a difference. And of course it makes a difference. 2 years ago, we fought hard and long for the Reproductive Rights Amendment in Michigan. Now, with Mike Johnson, fully supported by John James, supporting the 2025 agenda, their plan is to enact a national abortion ban. Now, they say at times, well, no, Donald Trump isn't serious about this. Well, baloney. These guys are serious about this. They are there to override what all our hard work did. And basically, I said this before, and I will say it again. Megan Cola, maybe I gave you undue credit for this. but Megan and I and others were marching in some pro-choice rallies 2 years ago, and I was so impressed with this one sign. I think I'm impressed because there was such truth in the simplicity of it. It said, if you don't like abortion, don't have one. And I think that should be everybody's plain and clear understanding. You can believe whatever you want. You can make whatever choice you want. But don't use government to take your religious views or your philosophical views and say, I'm going to impose them upon somebody else in a matter that is so uniquely and critically personal. There are places where government does not belong, and that is certainly one of them. Okay, so that's issue number one. Issue number two I'd like to talk about is, and it's kind of related to the first, is the separation of church and state. In the United States, we are stronger as a nation. We are stronger as a civil force, as a nation, when we don't mix religion into our politics. And likewise, religions benefit when they are neither helped nor hurt by the state. And so let's keep the state out of religious affairs. Yeah, John James just recently put out a proposal to divert federal money, to allow tax credits to go, instead of going to the federal government and then being passed back into religious schools, to go directly in terms of tax credits to go back to families who want to put their children in religious schools. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine. It's the United States of America. You can make your choice and do what you choose. But don't then try to use the power of government, the money of government, other people's taxpayers' dollars to pay for your religious choices, no matter how heartfelt they are, no matter how well-intentioned you are. Government does not belong in the position of trying to help or hurt any religion or any religious cause or school. So that's issue number two. And this next one, let me just take just a couple more minutes to explain the importance of this, because it weaves into so many things, and that is an understanding about the need to get serious about the environment, the effect of global warming, of climate change. You know, this is real. This is as real as it gets. We are already late in responding. If we did everything right from this point forward, we are already decades behind. We will not be able to remediate the world's climate to put us back in the position where we should have been. If we continue to blithely go along, things will be irreversible. And 20, 30 years from now, even the most conservative Republican will say, gosh, back in 2024, I wish I would have thought about this more. The fact of the matter is that the world's waters are rising, that species are disappearing. And by the way, please be assured, I guess the Republicans are right, that no matter what happens with the climate, life will go on. The crocodiles will do fine, the cockroaches will do fine, mammals will have it a little bit more difficult, and we as human beings will have it the most difficult. I mean, we are not talking about tree hugging for the sake of birds and butterflies. We're talking about a planet that is important to us because of our human values. I think it is a human value to be able to get up in the morning and breathe clean, fresh air, to go out in the countryside and see an eagle land in a nest, to be able to go down to a stream over here, hear the water going over the rocks and knowing that it is clean and refreshing. These are human values which we are losing. Our children and grandchildren are losing the ability to know what the world was like. And by the way, while we're here talking about children and grandchildren, my daughter Jennifer and my granddaughter Libby, just raise your hand. Some people ask if I have any real solid connection with Rochester and the Rochester Hills. Of course, my family lives here, my daughter, my granddaughter, and so Rochester and Rochester Hills is very important to me, not only because of stick pins on a political map, because it's family. All right, back to what I was saying. I remember this isn't the 4-hour speech. The fact of the matter is that nature lavishes upon us more energy every single day than human beings could use in a decade. The sun shines down on the roof of this pavilion, shines down on the pavement, shines down on roofs all over the place, shines down on roadways. Energy keeps on being imparted from the sun to the earth on a constant basis every day. We decide in our own flagrant, reckless way to just not use that energy. We could, but we don't. The wind blows through the trees every day. And it doesn't mind if somebody would put up a windmill. The wind doesn't care if it's blowing through trees or windmills. It's going to impart energy to the earth. But we, in our own kind of reckless, careless way, just don't care about it. We let it go. The moon goes around the earth. The tides come in a couple of times a day. They go out a couple of times a day. If you've ever stood in the ocean, you know the power of that water that is surging past you one way or the other. We can have tidal turbines out along the coast, supply most of the electricity for the east and west coast without having to burn a bit of fossil fuel. And yet we decide to waste that. The other thing is that for you science geeks out there, you know that the temperature of the earth at its core is the same temperature as the surface of the sun. That heat percolates upward. You only have to go down about 60 feet to find about 55 to 60 degree ambient temperature all over the earth. You can use heat pumps to pump that up. That means that in the summertime, you can get air conditioning without having to cool anything. You just pump up the temperature at that level. In the wintertime, you can use a lot less energy to bring something up from 60 degrees to 68 degrees than you can from -5 degrees outside to 68 degrees inside the house. The Europeans know this. The Europeans would love to be buying a lot of heat pumps. Somebody in this world is going to make its citizens rich, not only save the planet, but make its citizens rich by taking advantage of all of this energy. And just as Michigan once was still is the motor capital of the world, but we churned out cars, just waves and waves of cars. We can be turning out heat pumps. We could be turning out tidal turbines. We could be turning out wind turbines. We could be turning out solar panel arrays. We could have a full employment booming economy in which everybody has got good paying union jobs and making a fortune at the same time that we're saving the world. But there's a lack of an imagination that is keeping us from doing that, and there are also people like John James who take about $1 million from the oil and gas industry who say that what I say about these things is bunk because their pockets are being lined by people who want it another way. So what we have to do is to talk to people rationally about all of these issues. Some of them will give us more time than others. But the basic message I have is that stick with the Democratic Party. We are there for your personal freedom, but we are also there for a booming economy. And by the way, when we turn to alternate forms of energy, one other thing happens, and that is that if the oil companies know that we could get more energy from sun and wind and solar, they gotta watch it, because if they keep their prices high, it only accelerates the market moves to those possibilities. And so remember, every head of cabbage, every box of Cheerios you buy at the store goes up in price because oil and gas goes up in price. So if we have a party, namely the Democratic Party, that doesn't care about big oil, that doesn't want them to survive with their big profits, that is willing to take the chance and move us to a different high energy, cheaper economy, that's the way to beat inflation in the long run. We have the issues, we have the energy, and one last thing, with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, we've got the candidates, all right? So, thank you for the long list, and get out those signs. Love you. On to victory. Okay.
Thank you, Carl. We definitely got to take the 10th, because you know, the one thing for me that's frustrating is John James is a veteran and so am I. And when you take an oath, you take an oath to the Constitution, and how basically he's kind of sold himself to the Mango Mussolini, I will just never understand. But right now, another person that we got to make sure is victorious in this election in November, I'd like to present Michigan Supreme Court Justice Kyra Bolden. Yeah.
Kodak moment.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. Are we ready to protect justice for generations?
Oh, come on. How many days left do we have
until Election Day. Are we ready to protect justice for generations? Yeah! All right. Thought I was taller, I'm not. I'm Michigan Supreme Court Justice Kyra Harris Bolden. So I'm back. You may remember me from 2022. I came to this picnic, I believe I was pregnant. So many of you may not have seen me since then. But I ran for Michigan Supreme Court in 2022, pregnant with my first child, who was with my mother over there. And I had a full-time job in the legislature, so I spent 2 terms in the legislature, sat on the Judiciary Committee, and got 5 bills passed into law while serving in the minority. So, we ran for Michigan Supreme Court, and as many of you know, I came up a little short. I lost by 2 percentage points, roughly 200,000 votes across the state of Michigan. And what I will tell you today is that there was a 1 million vote drop-off between the governor's race and the nonpartisan section of the ballot. 1 million vote drop-off, I lost by 200,000 votes. So folks, we can't afford in this season to lose votes with people that are already at the voting box but just don't vote in the nonpartisan section. So I will tell you that this year, because some of you are wondering, well, why you're on the court? So there's a vacancy, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer appointed me to fill the vacancy. So that's why I'm up for retention this year, because the Michigan Constitution says you have to run in the next general election. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, this election cycle, we can't afford to lose this seat and to not pick up the other 8-year seats simply because people are not voting in the nonpartisan section. Our voters are there, they must complete the ballot. There's usually a 30 to 35% drop off in elections, period, in the nonpartisan section. So, we want you to make sure you're telling your friends, families, and neighbors to finish the ballot. We say this every election season, but we're losing races because people are not completing the ballot. So we're telling people, vote in the nonpartisan section first, and then hit straight ticket or do whatever you want to do, okay? And so I have an assignment for everybody. Don't wait for the inevitable ask of, who should I vote for judge? Someone's going to ask you, text your friends, families, and neighbors today and say, I am voting for Justice Kyra Harris Bolden and Professor Kimberly Ann Thomas. And you know what? We made it easy for you. Kyra and Kim. Thank you. Yes. So as many of you know, my running mate, Kimberly Ann Thomas, is running for the open 8-year slot. So folks, we can go from a 4-3 majority to a 5-2 majority on the board. We have to get excited about this opportunity. Usually we would be saying, doom and gloom, and this is the most important, election of our lifetime. And it is. But we can go in this election season with hope and joy and inspiration, knowing that the opportunity is there to protect justice for generations. We just need to seize the moment and make sure people are voting in the nonpartisan section of the race. So, since being on the court, I have authored 8 majority opinions. And one of those was the decision about voting challengers that the Secretary of State brought. And so we are making very, very crucial decisions on the Michigan Supreme Court. And I want you to do a little memory exercise, because people ask me, Kyra, why is the Michigan Supreme Court important? Now I know, because I'm sitting at the table making decisions every day. But what do you tell your friends, families, and neighbors? Well, do you remember when there was a challenge to whether or not Proposal 3 should be on the ballot? There was an issue, and someone said, with the spacing, people can't understand it. Kick it off the ballot. After all of those signatures were collected, it was the Michigan Supreme Court that allowed you to vote for Proposal 3. So we're not even making decisions based upon the merit sometimes. It's who and what appears on your ballot. You all may remember that in 2022, the governor's petitions
were challenged based upon the size of the union book. That issue came to the Michigan Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court allowed those signatures, which allowed the governor to be on your ballot. Imagine what a different Michigan would be had the dissenters had their way and Governor Gretchen Whitmer was not on the ballot and Proposal 3 was never voted on by the people. I want you to think about that. These are the very crucial decisions that the Michigan Supreme Court are making every single day, whether you know about it or not. So, with that being said, I am in this election season, my second race, with hope and joy and inspiration, because on election day or the day after, I want to wake up with a 5-2 majority and to protect justice for generations with Kyra and Kim for the win. So let me hear you say, Kyra and Kim for the win. Kyra and Kim for the win. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's go win.
Thank you so much, Justice Warren.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Good? Fired up? Ready to go to work? Because at 3 o'clock, or before 3 o'clock, please see Miss Lisa Kiefer so that you can sign up to canvass, because we're going to do a canvass in this area, and we need all the help that we can get. So, you know, however much time you have, we greatly appreciate that. Now what I'd like to do is introduce some more candidates that are running, and for different offices and different things like that. And I'm going to go through this list as they signed up. So first would be Miss Megan Cola. I know she's running for Macomb County Commission. Thank you. I almost said community college. Oh, that came from.
Oh man, I'm really sure. Hi everybody, my name is Megan Cola. I am the Democratic nominee for Macomb County Commission in District 5. So that is Western Sterling Heights. I know that we have a lot of faces I don't normally see today because we came out to Rochester. Is anybody here from Sterling Heights? Woo! Okay. That's alright. It is great to see people in the congressional district that I don't normally get to see, because the most important part about this election season is connecting with your friends and family and people who are not normally in your echo chamber, as I would like to call it, about politics. So if you have not met me before, you do not know my interesting story. I became the Democratic nominee off a write-in campaign because our expected candidate for County Commission withdrew on the day of the filing deadline and refiled as a Republican. So I filed as a write-in candidate and I won the nomination. First write-in campaign to be successful in a decade in Macomb County, and that was with the support of all of you and of my friends and family, and I'm so grateful. Probably one of the less exciting races out of everybody that's here today. You might not even know what your county commissioners do, so they are responsible for the county budget. And in Oakland County, you guys have done a great job. One of the things that I like to think about a lot when I'm gearing up for what I'd like to do, that's alright, everybody's having a good time, is what you guys did with your ARPA funds for medical debt in Oakland County. And that is a great example of why these kinds of races are important and why we need to pay attention to them. In Macomb County, we decided to make ourselves a Second Amendment sanctuary county. So not only did we not take any funds to actually help the general population of Macomb County, we decided to say that if our Republican-run county commission thought that there were any unconstitutional gun laws, they did not want to give funding to our sheriff's office to handle that. And specifically that they said that people should be allowed to carry guns in schools, and I do not think that that is appropriate, and I think that that is extremely dangerous. I'm a mother of 2 young kids, and I started a reproductive rights group in 2022. I work closely with a lot of candidates here. I'm an activist because I care about my kids, and they are the ones that have to suffer the consequences of our decisions. And at the end of the day, I think we hear a lot of talk about the middle class without a lot of representation from the middle class. So to see myself and to see my young family represented in local government is something that is extremely important to me. when we talk about what the county commission does with funding for the roads, with funding for parks, with funding for mental health care. That's something that's actually affecting me and my family every single day. And it's just like having a jury of your peers. You should have representatives that actually represent you and actually understand what the issues are that are affecting your day-to-day life. So I know that most of you here can't vote for me, but you can spread the word. We did the impossible in the primary, and we can do it again on the general election day on or before November 5th. Thank you so much.
Before I introduce our next candidate, I'd like a group exercise. If everybody would turn around and wave to the guy there in the ball cap that you see in the back, he's the tracker that's out here. So we'll just give him a nice CD10 welcome. There you go. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Nicole Huddleston. She's running for Oakland County Circuit Court.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, 10th Congressional District. How are you? Awesome. So my name is Nicole Sophia Calhoun Huddleston, and I'm going to give you my full name because that is the name that is on the ballot. And if you happen to forget it, just remember it's the longest one there. I've been a resident of Oakland County for nearly 20 years. I currently live in West Bloomfield with my husband, our 2 daughters who both just started their 4th year of college, our 11-year-old son, and Hamilton, which is our Labradoodle. And I've been practicing law since 2014 when I graduated from the University of Detroit Mercy. And I've dedicated my entire legal career to strengthening families and building stronger communities. I started my legal career in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, keeping the public safe and supporting survivors of domestic violence. I then went to Lakeshore Legal Aid and Legal Aid and Defender, where I provided free legal services for senior citizens, survivors of domestic violence, and individuals living at or below the poverty guideline. And a lot of work that I've done has been in the family court. In fact, 95% of my caseload has been in the family court. For the last 6 years, I was the managing director at the Detroit Justice Center, which is a social justice nonprofit law firm. We provided free legal services to returning citizens, court-involved individuals, and individuals, again, living at or below the poverty guideline, ensuring that we could equalize the justice system. I'm running for judge because I understand, through the work that I've done over the last 10 years, that this system does not work for everyone, particularly those who are not well-connected and well-off. And we need to make sure that justice is a right that everyone deserves, that everyone deserves the right to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, with also compassion and empathy. And that's the judge that I am hoping to be if I can get all of your support in this room. And so I've garnered a lot of support since November when I started running. I have the endorsement of County Executive Dave Coulter, County Treasurer Robert Whitberg, our Justice, Michigan Supreme Court Justice Kyra Harris-Bolden. I'm the only candidate endorsed by Labor. I have endorsements from senators across the county, state reps, county commissioners, but I need your support too. And we just heard Justice Bolden talk about there being a 1 million vote drop-off. Every election cycle, 30 to 35% of the voters do not finish their ballot. And we cannot afford for us to not pay attention to the judicial section. I tell people all the time, if you don't like your state senator, you get to try to vote them out every 4 years. If you don't like your state rep, you get to vote them out every 2 years. But once we get judges on the bench, they go unchecked and they sit there for generations and decades, and their impact and their decisions have generational impact. So we need to ensure that we are electing good judges the first time. If you are in this space and you voted for me in the primary, I want to say thank you. I'm going to ask you to vote for me again. But I need you to do me one thing better, and I need you to reach out to your family and your friends and your colleagues, and I need you to encourage them to vote in the nonpartisan section. Sharing my name is not enough, and I'll give you an example. In the primary, I had people working the polls who were giving people my literature and my name right before they walked in the door to vote, and several people came out and said, your friend wasn't on the ballot. I was on the ballot, they just need to go to the nonpartisan section. So we really need to inform people and educate people and tell them the importance of our judges and the other candidates who are going to be in the nonpartisan section. So please vote for me, but also when you leave here, reach out to 10 people and then ask those 10 people to reach out to 10 more people. Thank you. Join the huddle and vote for Nicole Sophia Calhoun Huddleston for your next Oakland County Circuit Court judge.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, next will be Ms. Darcy Lewis, who's running for Shelby Township Treasurer.
Hello, Michigan, CV10. How are you this morning? Great. Afternoon. So I am running for Shelby Township Treasurer. My opponent is an accused sexual predator, and aside from the ethics of that, it puts our taxpayer dollars at risk because once a predator, always a predator. They're not going to stop just once. So I would really love your support. If you have friends in Shelby, let them know to vote for me. If you have any spare loose change laying around in your pants pockets today, pat yourself down. We could really use your help to push us over the edge. We have another mailing that's going out soon. Residents of Shelby Township deserve local government that is transparent, that works for the people, and that actually puts the interests of the taxpayer first. And one of my platforms is education, financial literacy education, and a mortgage registry for deeds and mortgages to prevent people, especially seniors, from falling victim to the mortgage scams that are currently sweeping the country. If we don't get ahead of those, they are very, very hard to deal with after the deed has been falsely registered, and people end up in court for decades. They lose their homes. We want to prevent that from happening, and the current government of Shelby is not doing anything to get ahead of this. So I would love your support, and I would love for you to join me in this fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next will be Ms. Zaza Booker. She's running for Warren School Board, and that's in Fitzgerald School Board, right? Thank
Hello.
Yeah, pull it down. There you go.
Hi, hello. My name is Jaja Booker, and I'm running for the Fitzgerald School Board in Warren. I am really a little tired this morning. I'll be honest, because I like to be honest. I just got through canvassing the neighborhoods and passing out my cards, so a little tired, but I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have been working in education for almost 15 years now. I have been in both K through 12 and now I'm working in higher ed. And so I've seen the transition of our students and our kids as they go through the system. And so that's one of the reasons that why I'm running for school board. But the other reason really that I'm passionate about is that my daughter just started at Westview Elementary. And so she's actually in the district and we live there. And so that's what prompted me to kind of get involved. And so when I started coming to these different meetings, the school board meetings, I was really invested in the particular our kids' safety and the curriculum that they are experiencing. And so some of the things I noticed is how the curriculum is changing and how that also affects safety. And so I'm really committed to that. Again, I am completely invested. I have a little one at the school. And so I just would really like the opportunity to serve my community. I know that everyone here is not in that district. I just want to say that earlier, and so that really, I get it. But if you could spread the word. My name again is Jaja Booker. My name stands out a little bit. My daughter also has that name. And so if I could have your support in any way, I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. And again, I'm running for Fitzgerald School Board. My name is Jaja Booker. Thank you.
Need more pockets here. I can't keep up with everything. Next will be Elira Sacco. She's a candidate for Macomb County Commission in District 7.
United States. And I have 12 years now that I live in Cleveland Township. And it's an honor for me to serve my people over there, at the same time thinking for my son's future. It's not easy to be an immigrant because you have to build everything from the beginning. And at the same time, you have to think about a lot of things, among which is mental health. And it is a priority in my campaign. Not only mental health, but even roads and sewers and water quality, which are main things that we are lacking in the community, or we need to put a lot more efforts on everything. And mental health has been a priority, which made me think about going in my studies for counseling psychology. And now I'm studying in my master's for counseling psychology as well. So, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And hopefully I'll see everybody on the next events.
You did
And now I'd like to introduce State Representative Denise Mincer.
So, several people have talked about what the Democrats have done. But let me tell you what's going to happen if Democrats don't win in November. Remember those right-to-work bills? Right-to-work is going to come back. Prevailing wage is going to be repealed. That's the first thing that the Republicans are going to do. The next thing they're going to do is come after the gun safety laws that we passed. Remember all these stories you've been hearing in the newspaper and on the news about the 2-year-old that found his mom's gun underneath the couch cushion, shot himself in the head? About the 11-year-old that got shot in the face? Those safe storage bills are going to go away when the Republicans come back. So if the clean water that Marlinda was talking about, all those bills, they're going to go away too. And what we're going to end up with is massive data centers that take away our water and our groundwater. We're going to lose the ability to do solar and wind. The planet's going to heat up, just like he said, because they don't like the clean energy bills. So if you want a safe environment, if you want a clean environment, and you want unions to stay strong, you better vote Democrat in November. Thank you. Yeah.
So hopefully I didn't miss anybody. What I would like to say is this. Eat up, there's still pizza there, get some drinks, do whatever, because that way I've got to take those coolers home, and that's a little less for me to have coolers. So help yourself with everything. Also, I understand if you can, please make sure you take signs with you, lawn signs and everything. And basically a little less than an hour, but I thank everybody for coming out. Really appreciate your time, and we're going to win. That's the one thing we're going to do. We're going to win. So with all your help, you're going to help make it happen. Thank you.